Am I wrong for rage quitting after I lost an election? I, 28 female, have been a member of a large volunteer organization for several years. I'm one of the longest standing members. I've spent hundreds of hours on various aspects of it. I've held small leadership positions in almost every area, and I have a large amount of experience being the president of another organization as well. When I first joined, things were not doing well, so I, with others, worked our asses off to improve that, and we did. In fact, we did so well with improving the atmosphere that we had a massive amount of incoming members who quickly became very close with each other, something we specifically encouraged, and have absolutely no idea how bad things used to be, or how much behind the scenes work it takes to maintain the way things are now. I ran for president in the most recent election. I ran against 5 other candidates. 4 of us had years of experience and had been prepping our campaign for months and years. One person, let's call him Alex, was extremely new, few weeks, had zero experience at all, decided to run at the last minute, and had a very large friend group with other new members. Alex was barely allowed to run due to how new they were, but made the cut by a handful of days. You can see where this is going. It was extremely close between me and Alex, and I lost by 1 vote. The rest of the elected officials were all new members of the same friend group, also without experience. Then it was discovered that 9 to 10 votes, specifically the vote of other people in leadership positions who worked closely with me, were not counted. This was not intentional or malicious, simply a computer error. Apparently, every single one of them voted for me. I technically won. They tried to get the election results overturned because of it, but higher-ups would not allow it, because they feared it would look like favoritism. At the end of the day, I was told to keep quiet and not let anyone know about this. This brings me to my current situation. Because nobody on the new executive team has any experience, I started facing a lot of pressure to take on a lower leadership position solely to guide them and ensure our hard work doesn't go to hell. I absolutely refused. In fact, I've decided to drop all leadership roles and do absolutely nothing this year. This has led to multiple people telling me that I don't truly care about the organization and that I'll be responsible for it if it falls apart. I feel like it's a slap in the face to expect me to do what a president does without the title to show it. So, am I wrong for dropping all leadership positions and letting the new team do whatever the hell they want to do?
Am I the arsehole for refusing to pay for my friend's IVF treatment over a joke? Story time. So me and my husband have tried absolutely everything to have children, till eventually finding out that we were in fact infertile. Obviously this was really tricky for us, and he ended up divorcing me. He then went on to marry someone a lot younger and have a child with them. He's doing everything that I ever dreamed of doing with him with someone else. I haven't had much support from my family through all of this, and they absolutely blame me for everything that went down. The only person that has been there to support me is my best friend Amy. She is in the same boat as me when it comes to infertility. But her and her husband are currently trying IVF in the hopes that it will work. Amy messaged me and asked me if I would be able to help pay for their upcoming IVF cycle. Knowing how heartbreaking it can be, I agreed to write her a cheque for £12,000. I said I really wanted to help her, and the money comes with no strings attached. Always attach the strings. So I wrote the cheque and gave it to her last week. So the very next day I get a message from a mutual friend who we will call Stacey, and it's a screenshot of a conversation that she has had with Amy. So Stacey and Amy are talking about the next cycle of IVF Amy is going to have, and she said that she hopes that this next cycle goes well because she didn't want to end up divorced and childless like me. I didn't confront her, I simply contacted my bank and cancelled the payment. But that evening, Amy calls me to ask why I've cancelled the cheque. And obviously, I told her, I expect, oh, I'm so sorry, like that's so insensitive of me, moment of weakness, no. No, Amy goes absolutely batshit crazy. She said that she didn't mean it that way, just seen it more of like a cute inside joke between 2 desperate infertile besties. Anyway, we ended up putting the phone down, and she came round with her husband the next day. This pair were literally begging me to rewrite the cheque. Obviously, I refused, and this is when the biggest argument ensued. Her husband brought up the point that I wasn't supporting Amy in the way that she had supported me when I was going through my infertility issues. I don't think that's the same thing. Amy and her husband left crying, and we have not spoken since then. There's the door, bitch. Then her husband texts me on the day that was supposed to be their next cycle, saying that we can't have it anymore thanks to you because we can't afford it. The majority of my friends are on my side, but some of them think that I was a little bit too savage. Stacey keeps telling me that I should burn them to the ground and expose them for what they did. Stacey sounds like a real one. And now I'm thinking, maybe I shouldn't have cancelled it. I should have just spoken it out like adults, because I'm scared now that I have lost my 15-year friendship. So guys, what do you think here? Should I reinstate the payments as an apology for being petty, or did I actually do nothing wrong? Am I the arsehole for refusing to donate my kidney to my dying sister because of her boyfriend? Story time. So, back in high school, I was severely bullied by this guy who we will call Steve. I won't go into too many details, but it was past the point of like normal high school bullying. So in my final year of high school, I made the mistake of coming out to someone I thought was a friend, who promptly spread this information around the whole school. Now before this, Steve had targeted me for being unathletic. So after college, I moved way away for uni. I got my own place and I lived on my own. I even got a girlfriend. And I completely forgot about Steve. Until one Christmas, my sister, Amy, brings home her boyfriend, Steve. The first thing he says to me, he goes, "Damn, Amy, you didn't tell me that your sister was an F word." My sister Amy laughed, as did my dad. After the fact, my family tried to play it off that Steve was joking because he was nervous. They all told me that I needed to get over it because him and Amy were serious, so he'd be at many family events from now on. In private, Amy told me that I am being too sensitive and that she has the right to date whoever she likes, which, yeah, but it ended up that I sort of went no contact with my family for a fair few months, until recently when my mum contacted me, telling me that Amy had to be rushed into hospital and she needed a kidney transplant. Every single one of my family had been denied as a transplant donor, and they thought me being her biological sister, I might be a match. The thing is, after all these years of not speaking with my family, Amy is a complete stranger to me now. I'd have to drive like halfway across the country. I'd have to miss so much work. Also, give up a piece of my flesh. All for a woman who dated and eventually married the man who made my high school experience an absolute nightmare. I told my mum that I would absolutely not be getting tested. My mum called me vindictive and immature and then hung up the phone. So what do you think? Am I being too petty here?
My fiance cheated on me with a married man, and I'm now going out with his wife. So a few weeks ago, my fiance, 25 female, cheated on me, 28 male, with a guy, 36 male she met at work. She came in after she got off work and immediately broke it off with me. I was 10 minutes away from walking out of the door for work, so I called out to try and fix things. We had our problems, and I had been pretty depressed and was neglectful of our relationship the last few months. But we had just had a conversation about how we were working through our stuff, and I really had no idea anything was that wrong. She told me it was because of my depression, that she was really worried about me and that I needed to go talk to a therapist because she was worried I was going to end up myself. Fast forward a couple of hours and my brain has been in overthinking mode for the wild time. I finally convinced myself that she was cheating on me because she was talking about this guy like a high school girl talks about her crush. And I went through her phone. And I'm not usually the person to do something like that, but I just had to know. And I found some pretty sexually charged messages between them. I stopped as soon as I found them. So no idea how long they've gone out for. And then one of the worst days of my life began. I woke her up and confronted her over it. It took a little bit, but she did admit it. Told me she was afraid I was going to kick her out if I told her the truth. No, duh! Why would you want to be with him? Why would you think you could... This behavior pisses me off. Why do you think you have a right to be there if you don't want to be with him anymore? Let him go. It's like, yeah, I'm cheating on you. I'm sleeping with someone else, but I still want to live here. What? I feel like if you truly care about someone, right? Truly care about this person, if you ever love them, so to say, you would let them go and you say, hey, this is not going to work between us. I don't want to do this. Like, I hate when people are selfish like that. This just shows she had no love for you from the beginning. We were together for 4 years. Damn. I was preparing to take on more hours at my job so she could quit hers and take some time to recover from her growing burnout. After we talk and everything is said and done, I call my best friend. I'm not a petty person, but she 100% is. She proceeds to make a post in a local "Don't Date That Man" Facebook group. Little did we know this was going to absolutely explode. Almost immediately, people are commenting on it. And then his wife, 36 female, comments on it. She had no idea. My best friend reaches out to her and we get all this information from her about him. Audio recordings where he is screaming at her and she is just crying. We see exactly the person this guy is. I send this information to my ex. She has moved in with him at this point, and I can't not warn her about what she has walked into. And he's already gotten her to believe that his wife is a terrible person. So I reach out to his wife. We are both going through an absolutely terrible situation, and we could possibly use the support from someone that can understand what the other is going through. And we start putting everything together. This has been going on for months. Regardless of whether they were sleeping together for the entire time, he had been coming home late every night for several months with food wrappers from where she works overnights at, even though his wife was preparing food and leaving it in the microwave every night for him. Me and her talk for several days, just trying to piece everything together, and we end up finding out we have so much in common. We make each other laugh and we have a good time. So we meet up, and things went from there. We set boundaries because we both realize that if we want to be healthy partners for anyone, much less each other, jumping right into another relationship probably isn't the smartest move. But the more we talk to each other, the harder and faster I fall for her. And I can see that is the same for her. I can see it in her eyes when we meet up at the park and hear it in her voice when we talk on the phone. I didn't want to be with anyone after what I went through, and now all either of us can think about is how scary the future seems. She makes me want to be the man I've always dreamt about being. We have no idea how this is going to play out, but we know that there is absolutely something here.
Am I the arsehole for thinking the prank that my family played on my boyfriend was not that big of a deal? Story time. So my boyfriend, who we will call Steve, is literal perfection. He is so handsome, kind and caring. One key detail here is that Steve has quite a large facial scar, and my family often jokes about it. My family has a really dark humour, and Steve has brought up to me many times that he doesn't see it as a joke. He feels as though he is just being insulted on the pretense of dark humour. I told him that it was really important that we spend Easter weekend with my family because we spent Christmas at his, so he warned me beforehand that if they made a single comment about his looks, he would be fuming and would probably want to leave. We got there, they are cracking open the wine. Now, after a few hours, my mum and my sister start to bring out these jumpers that has Steve's face printed all over it. Literally everyone was giggling. I obviously thought it was so fun. I thought it was so cute because he's so gorgeous. So it was ironic that they had printed this like gorgeous man on this ugly sweater. Now, I think it's obviously brilliant, but when I look at Steve, he is almost in tears. He looks at me so disappointed, shakes his head, gets his car and leaves. My mum then starts bawling her eyes out because she said it was just obviously a joke and would never ever want to upset someone. My dad told me that Steve needed to man up about the whole situation and that it was just all for fun. As soon as we got home, he kicked off. He told me I was a real arsehole for putting him in that situation. I said that he was trying to make it out that this was all my fault when it was all my family's doing. This whole argument ended by me saying, Steve, I'm sorry that you were offended by this whole joke, but you didn't have to ruin the whole day for it. So now we aren't speaking at all. And he's told me to get in contact when I realise that I'm in the wrong here. I'm still really struggling with that. So what do you think? Am I the arsehole here?